Well, so far, the Sebi lawyer, as we are hearing, the two sides are talking about their own sides. As we understand, Sebi lawyer has told Supreme Court that they need 6 more months to conclude Adani probe, and Sebi lawyer has requested court to grant additional 6 months, considering nature of investigation required in this issue. So we are yet to hear from the sides of the judges. What are they going to say? But as far as the overall hearings are concerned, they are continuing currently. Both sides, the Prashant Bhushan, on the other hand, is currently speaking. But Sebi has sought 6 more months, and yet to be seen what order, what kind of observation Supreme Court gives. That is something which is going to happen in a short while from now. Both sides are now presenting their facts, their case, and talking about the past also as to what happened in the past. So clearly we are just waiting to hear what's going to happen, what's going to come from the side of the honorable judges in this case.
Line by line, we are trying to understand what the verdict is as far as this important case is concerned. The Sebi lawyer for now telling the Supreme Court that they definitely need 6 more months to conclude the Adani probe. So this is something that we are watching out for. The expectation was that the expert committee report has been submitted, so they're likely to give some sort of verdict on that. But the Sebi lawyer is at least, asking for a 6-month extension. Let's see whether the Supreme Court delivers that or not. But for now, the case is still being heard in the Supreme Court. The verdict is not out yet. Back while we are tracking what's happening with the Adani verdict, which is being heard in the Supreme Court. As of now, both the parties are trying to put in their pleas as to what they are expecting. Remember, Sebi had asked for a 6-month extension for them to complete the probe, because that is what they were asked to do. That too, they were expected to submit their findings as well. The expert committee had already submitted some of their findings, so the decision on that was expected. Plus, Sebi lawyer has been asking for a 6-month extension. For now, the other side is, is suggesting that asking for a 6-month extension will be inappropriate. So they're trying to figure out what kind of extension could be given to Sebi to complete their part of the investigation. But the Sebi lawyer for now maintaining that 6 months is something that they want. However, the Supreme Court saying that perhaps extending by 6 months will be inappropriate. If they need, maybe a few months could be allowed to them. But for now, they're not allowing a 6-month extension. That's the initial reading. Of course, please do remember, the verdict is not out yet. This hearing is still underway. We are trying to get you the latest what is happening in the court at this point in time. But what we are hearing so far is that Sebi is asking for a 6-month extension, while the Supreme Court is saying that a 6-month extension is something which is not very appropriate at this point of time. The Supreme Court is saying that maybe they can consider a 3-month extension. They should be able to complete the investigation in 3 months and come back to the Chief Justice if they need more time after that. But for now, this is the latest that we are picking up. They have suggested in a sealed cover, the committee, whatever they had to tell the Supreme Court at this point of time. But we are not hearing much detail as far as the expert committee is concerned. Maybe my colleague Sumit is with us live just outside the court, and he can brief us with what's the latest. Sumit, tell us what you're picking up and what should we understand this to be?
Well, this is going to now be given 3 months' time to Sebi, as we understand, CJI Chandrachud, and he is still talking, and he said that giving 6 months' time to Sebi will not be possible. It's clearly not something which can happen. That's why the time given is that can be given is for 3 months. Also, he said that currently there is no sealed report which has been on recommendations which has been given to him. As we speak, the overall hearing is continuing, but the big point that we are hearing at this moment coming out of Supreme Court hearing is that 6 months extension, as Sebi had sought, is not possible. Well, remember, on March 2nd, Supreme Court had given 2 months' time to Sebi to complete investigation into Adani-Hindenburg case, but it was already Supreme Court had given 2 months' time to Sebi, and Sebi in April sought 6 months extension. Today, as we are hearing, 6 months will not be possible. 3 months is the time that can be given to Sebi to complete the case. Court says they take time till 15th August, but court has clearly said that the time cannot be given till for 6 months, as was asked by Sebi. Also on the issue of having this report or recommendations from six-member panel, CJI Chandrachud said that they have not so far received any sealed report on that issue, as was being said by some reports, some media houses over the last few days. Those reports said that now recommendations have been given and submitted to Supreme Court. Well, currently CJI is saying that that has not happened. So bottom line currently coming out, yes, Sebi will get extension, but not 6 months, which was asked by them. It will be for 3 months as asked by them. But as we speak, currently the hearing is on. Both sides, they presented their argument. Prashant Bhushan was also, so the both sides have presented arguments from their side through their lawyers, and three-judge bench is currently hearing the appeals of both sides, and both sides are still in discussions with the judges. And we hear something more can happen, but at this moment, as we say, 3 months extension can be given to Sebi. 6 months is clearly something can happen or can be given to stock market regulator. Remember, shares crashed in February, the stock markets were down, and then the case went to Supreme Court, which gave 2 months extension, 2 months in a time to Sebi to file the court, and the 6-month panel also got 2 months time. But Sebi couldn't do it, and Sebi has sought more time. It's getting it more, but not 6 months as desired earlier.
So a big half win coming in for the Adani side at this point of time. 6 months, rather the Sebi side, because Sebi is the one which is asked for the 6-month extension. The Chief Justice saying that 6 months extension will be inappropriate. Take 3 months for now. Come back to us with your initial findings, and let's see where we go from there. So for now, Nikunj, it seems that the Sebi has been given the timeline till 15th August to make their next level of recommendations and next level of findings, but not getting 6 months as of now.
Anisha, they've had the data for last 2 months.
Yeah.
On top of that, they vote another 6 months. That makes it 5. 5 months in today's time when we're talking about AI and systems and integration which is coming in, I guess it's important. One of the judges, and I was hearing it outside when I was looking at the live feed, he did make a mention that, look, the more you linger it, the more it will add to the volatility. These are listed stocks.
Right.
And depending on what we will hear from the regulator, I guess the stock in the short to medium term will have an element of volatility and suspense. So in the interest of shareholders, in the interest of market stability, and in the interest of how these things should move, the regulator has been given 3 months.
Right.
And 3 months, you add the last 2 months, that's about 5 months. 5 months for a matter which in a sense has captured global headlines, some would say is a reasonable amount of time. But the other case is about the PLI which was filed about the money which investors have lost. What will be the impact of that? On that, we are yet to hear from the Supreme Court. We must remember that when the Adani fiasco happened, Anisha, the trend was very different. What has happened after that? Adani Group of companies, they have not defaulted. None of the lenders have marked them as NPAs. B, they've prepaid their loans in some cases. The stocks have stabilized. Mauritius, there's a comment which came from the finance minister of Mauritius that there are no inter-party shell companies. So the inter-party whole, I'm not revisiting that whole Vinod Adani angle again, but that in a sense also gets a clean chit. And we must also recognize that the promoter pledge is also over, because that large investment which happened to the GQA Capital, where GQG Capital has also ensured that $1.8 billion of cash comes back into the Adani Group.
Okay, let's try and make sense with some experts as well. We have Mr. Sanjay Asher, the senior partner, Crawford Bailey and Company, joining us. Sanjay, hi. Thank you so much for joining us. We're just hearing the live statements coming out of the Supreme Court. Of course, the verdict is awaited for now, but the way the direction the ruling is taking, it seems like that Sebi would not be allowed the 6-month timeline. They might be given an extension of maybe 3 months. The court is telling them to come back by 15th August and give them the initial findings. What's your first sense as to whether the court is being reasonable in this matter, or do you think the Sebi deserves 6 months extension, given they're calling it a very complex issue?
Yeah, I would say that, look, one has to follow the principles of natural justice. Now, if Sebi says in order to complete a proper and a thorough investigation, it requires 6 months, I don't think Sebi would be unreasonable as a statutory agency to ask for 6 months. Perhaps my reading is that if in 3 months' time, by 15th of August, if Sebi completes part of its investigation and provides an interim report, then my feeling is that the court may grant further time in order to complete the investigation.